Good evening, good evening. Tonight is a very special night for us here at the Register of Wills. This is our last Plan, Prepare, Protect webinar for the season. And I want you all to know when we say plan, prepare, protect, we mean plan your estate, prepare your heirs to protect your assets. My name is Tracey Gordon. I'm the Register of Wills here in the city of Philadelphia. And tonight we had two distinguished guests that are going to talk with us about this horrible, horrible dilemma we're in. And that we have 10,000 tangled titles here in the city of Philadelphia. My first guest is my state representative, the Honorable Joanne McClinton. She made history twice in Pennsylvania. In 2018, she became the first woman and the first Black American to be elected as House Democratic Caucus Chair. In 2020, she was the first woman elected House Democratic leader. Our next distinguished guest, whom I've had the privilege of knowing most all my political life, starting off as an activist block captain to a committee person. I've known State Senator Vincent Hughes for many years, and he's always carried himself very classy and dignified. State Senator Hughes has served the Commonwealth as a member of the Pennsylvania Senate for more than 20 years. His colleagues elected him to be the Democratic chairman of the Senate Appropriation Committee in 2010, and he continues to bring proactive leadership in that role over 10 years of experience. So these are the two elected officials that I personally have seen them bring resources to our community. Resources in the form of grants to help us prepare and sustain our roads, our recreation centers, our schools. These two have the power and have yielded their power to bring resources to the county of Philadelphia. And so now I wanted to partner with them because, as you all know, the Register of Wills is a state office. As you all know, the city of Philadelphia sends the state of Harrisburg $80 to $100 million in estate and inheritance tax every single year. We are 1 and 2 between Montgomery County and us. We send the most money in the entire state. So when you see all these roads being repaired and this money coming in, that's part of the wealth that's coming from the city of Philadelphia to the state, 80 to 100 million. And we are on par to send that because we have yet to close down. So as you know, we have 10,000 tangled titles. And for the listening audience, if you don't know what a tangled title is, a tangled title simply is a property, say a row house, that is in somebody's name and they die without leaving a will. And that will would give their family the power to transfer that deed into their name so they can own the property. 10,000 houses died in intestate. And that means that they can't do anything legal with the property. They can't sell it. They can't get basic system repairs. They can't get home equity loans. They can't pass it down to their children. They can't do anything legal with the house. So right now we are sitting on $1.1 billion or more dead capital. This study came from the Pew Charitable Trust. I asked them to identify where these tangled titles were. And when we got the map, we pretty much figured out that this was possibly going to be the areas, but we was astounded by another map that came up during that same time. So the map, the blue one, this is the map that came out this year from Pew Charitable Trust. We asked them to identify the tangled titles because they had already reported in studies that Philadelphia has this problem. So when you see in the blue, the darker it gets, the more the tangled titles are. When this came out, I was happy about that because one thing, they have a study to tell us we have problems, but another thing, they have a study that shows us where the problem is so we can get the assistance to those residents. What was shocking to us was if you look at the map on the right, during that same period this year, the city controller put out a map that showed us where the high violence and gun violence. If you see those zip codes, 19134, 43, 39, 32, 40, and these all fall in districts that cover both our state senator and state representative, and more so the state representative because of those two zip codes, 19139 and 19143. Those are where the shooting, high incidents of shooting, which coincides with where those tangled titles were. Then that same week, we got a study that came out from the University of Penn stating that if a tangled title or the residents of a tangled title would be able to have access to basic system repair grants to help them repair infrastructure problems on these 100-plus-year-old houses, that crime would go down 22%. And so if you look at the right-hand side, you see where all the crime is, and then you look at the blue and you superimpose them, and bingo, right there. There's the problem. There's the problem. That's where that $1.1 billion of dead capital. This is where these people can't get any assistance to be able to get these houses legally in their name so they can thrive, like the people that have title to their houses. And so I want to get straight to the questions. I also want to introduce, I have some new solicitors that I brought on. Karima Yelverton, she's one of my assistant solicitors, and also Frank Capiz, he's a solicitor now working with us, and they'll be able to delve into this more legally because, say, Senator Vincent, I'm just an activist, I'm not an attorney. So I thank you for coming on, and I want to make sure that I hope you all have a safe and happy holiday. So I want to start off with my state representative, McClinton. Your district has historically had high crime rates and a large amount of properties that we have identified as tangled titles. And we know that these two issues are directly related and can arise from a lack of investment in the community. So currently there's no legislation or funding in Harrisburg to specifically combat the tangled title crisis. So what can be done legislatively to support programs like the Register of Wills, our probate deferment program, where we are deferring fees, so it won't be so hard for people to get these tangled titles out of their name. And Karima will tell you something about the PDI program a little later, but I wanted to ask you that question.
So first of all, thank you, Tracy, to the most honorable Madam Register of Wills, my neighbor, the elected activist, let me say it correctly, elected activist from Southwest Philadelphia. We appreciate you going all around the city. Just so people know, my colleagues were having these. I was invited in February, but Senator Hughes, you know how it is when you get a hair appointment. I had to get braced. And I missed my appointment in February. And my goodness, it didn't take 10 months for my office to get with you, but we're finally here. So I'm not
say, Senator Vincent, you don't have a problem. You don't have that type of problem.
I live with the issue. I live with the issue.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So we waited patiently to bring this to our constituents that we share. Of course, our senator picks up where we stop in 19139 in West Philadelphia. But, we don't have a bill at this moment to address this directly, but we are your partner in service and in advocacy and in information, because so many of our neighbors don't even have the tangled title. They don't even know what to, call it, but they come in and out of our district office, some in Winfield, some on 60th and Chestnut, forefront to say, hey, I need help with this. Well, whose house is the name in? And that's when we all discover that there's a problem with whose house the name is in and who these folks are that live there, many times grandchildren, loved ones, significant others, lifetime partners, you name it. So the fact that we're informing people, I think that is step one, that we're informing people about what exists and what your office is currently offering. But we have to take a deep look at what we can do in Harrisburg to support your efforts, whether it's through changing the law or whether it's through creating a pot of money that every county around our Commonwealth has access to. So people who are struggling financially or just having a challenge, no, you don't have to be in a category or a label, but you're just having a challenge and you can't pay those $500 fees back to back to back to back to get things put in your name. We want to make sure that we support your probate deferment initiative in a strong and mighty way, and looking at grant funding, whether it's right from Harrisburg, whether it's from Washington, DC, or both places, so that this promotes the stability we need in our communities for housing, and of course, affordable housing, because you lose grandma's house or whomever's house, then where do you end up? And what could occur that you're not able to keep stable housing for yourself and your children? And there is literally nothing more important than keeping a roof over your head for yourself and for your family. So thank you so much for having this, Tracey.
Yeah, and I just put up a post. I said, and the Senator, you can speak to this. I said, affordable housing is the house that your family owns. And they family own that house. They family own the house. It's just the education part where we lack. And I wanted to let you all know this. Did you know I found out that Tangled Titles is unique to the county of Philadelphia only? The other 66 counties do not have that problem. Is a problem unique to us? I feel the $500 waive of the or deferment of the probate fee, and then the waiver that's coming from the recorder deeds is just a minimal cost. The cost is coming in the legal assistance that they need. Sometimes could run up to $8,000. So now the only thing that we have been doing here in the county of Philadelphia, a few agencies like Community Legal Service, Christian Legal Clinics, Drexel, Philadelphia VIP, is to ask for volunteer attorneys to assist with a limited budget. Now from the city, they just put $7.6 million into the Tangled Title Fund, and we hope to be able to draw onto some funds from there. But that is not near enough when you're talking about how much it really costs to untangle titles, which some of them are in layers of generations. But the thing that we do know is they own the house. The thing that's so unfair is they can't get basic system repairs, which is free grant money to assist them in the infrastructure of the house. They can't do anything legal, so they have no legal rights. And that's the part that I feel that since we are like the 7th poorest, largest city in the nation, if we could flip those houses over, that would just change the whole the dynamic of the city of Philadelphia. So I wanted to ask State Senator Vincent Hughes, you're proposing a $100 million under the Community Violence Prevention funding through the American Rescue Plan. Research has shown that when homeowners get access to basic system repair grants, crime drops by 22%. I know that. The empty window theory is, I'm a block captain, and one house can just tear an entire block apart. Exactly. So what can we do with this funding to help us get some of this funding, or even tap into some of the $80 to $100 million that we send to Harrisburg? How can we get some of that money to come back to help to fund the legal part of it?
Let me just say, first of all, again, thank you. Always great to be with you. Always great to be with my leader, Leader McClinton. We scheme a lot, but the other thing is we deliver on our schemes. Okay. And I got a new one for her. I'll be, in the next couple of days dropping on her, which I think we're prepared to handle. Yes, we do get into good trouble. Absolutely. And with the row, the Register of Wills, I know we're going to even get into better trouble, but we'll be able to deliver. Kareem, I must say that my Tiffany Wilson sent you a shout out. Okay, she said y'all hang out in the club or something like that. I don't know what it is. All right, but that's what y'all do. But let me just say this. There's like two parts to this. I think we deal with not just tangled titles, but tangled families. Okay, all right, and the whole notion of proactively educating families to get everything in order, not just a week before someone makes transition, but a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years beforehand, I think would help out in maybe the long run of how we deal with this problem. One of the questions you laid out was, do you know family members, if you ever had an issue or anything like that? And we know family members who we've had to help deal with the tangled family part of it. All right. Mm-hmm. And it's getting the advice, it's getting the consultation in a non-threatening environment with people who don't have a vested interest, right? People who are not getting a cut. Because we're always skeptical about, who do I turn to? Because are they going to try to sell me a bill of goods? Are they going to try to get a cut? What have you? So investing in the education piece so that we're preparing folks for when transition occurs, there's no drama. All right. And that takes a lot of work. Okay. Mm-hmm. But in the end, if it's done correctly, there's no drama at the back on the backside. All right. So I don't want to get too far out over my skis here. But I think we can possibly figure out a way to make some additional investments at the state level to do an education piece on this thing that helps move the ball forward. We want to do it, with the advice of your office and your consultation and some of the partners that we all work with, the community legal services and all the rest who are in this space. I think that would mean a lot. We look at just the map, and I'm glad you put them together like that, shows the connection between the lack of wills, the tangled title issues and what have you, with the violence that's going on in communities, basic system repair stuff. I must say, we really need to get Build Back Better done in Washington, because if we look in Build Back Better, there's a huge amount of money for housing, and I believe in the housing funding. I believe it's $150 billion for housing across the country. Mm-hmm. And in the housing funding, I believe there's a significant portion to deal with basic systems repair, okay? Mm-hmm. And to have that influx of dollars coming into our community with clear and free title and everything in order could make a huge difference in terms of us addressing the generational wealth issue that's being lost when we don't have this title stuff. So long story short, to say, I'm committed to work with my leader. Mm-hmm. I'm committed to work with you and the activist community, all our friends, we know them all well, all right? Mm-hmm. To try to see if we can get some additional resources that I think we can identify right now in Harrisburg to help build on what's currently going on. We got to get this addressed because we're losing out. We're losing out tremendously.
And I'm so grateful that you see the way you've seen it through your lens. So what you're saying is, we recognize we have a problem, Tracey, but we gotta stop the hemorrhaging. And it has to be a broad-based education, not just to target you may be in a tangled title, but saying you need to make a will.
Yes.
So you won't be in a tangled title because here are the consequences. And we need to have a series. We need funding. I'm doing all of this on social media just based on the fact that I have a good communications director, John Zimmerman, and I'm able to get this information out. But with funding, dedicated funding, we can get it out more on a broader platform. We can direct mail them and everything else, and then make sure that when they call, they can have a database where we can eventually send out, because this is like social work too, because you said it right. We don't trust everybody. We're not going to tell everybody everything. Sometimes people are embarrassed. Sometimes people are confused. And definitely when they come up in front of me, people are misinformed about common law marriage. They are misinformed about heir property. They think it's an automatic transfer. And since the 1600s, it has been an automatic process. There is a process that you have to do legally to make sure that your wealth is transferred to whoever you want it to be transferred to. And it's cost your state less to write the will, get the will. They come in my office, they're in and out, but something happened where it's not main, it's like, I don't know why people don't know it. When I went to talk to the other registrar of wills in other counties, they looked at me like, but we know it's a problem, because last week I was in Atlanta at the Heirs Property Prevention and Resolution Funders Forum. I did our pitch so we can get money here in Philadelphia so we can educate it more. And you should have seen what's going on around the nation. So even though everybody says there's a state issue when we know it, this is really a national, federal, humane issue that I'm just grateful that you see it. So you're saying, what we're saying is y'all have to make a will. But in the meantime, we got to figure out how we're going to help these people with the Tangled Title. So I wanted to ask you too, Senator.
But do you think about the emotional side of it? The emotional side of it, the emotional pain. I've seen, and I know Leader McClinton can speak to this as well. I've seen families that used to be really, really close, okay? When that piece wasn't in place, just crumble and fall apart. And I'm like, oh man, y'all used to be,
What about the businesses that you seen? That you knew that the Mr. Charlie owned that business and the kids didn't come back and get along. Next thing you know, somebody owns it because it went to sheriff's sale. Simply because they didn't make a will. It would have been easy, even if the kids didn't want to come back. In the will, it would have said, listen, I want this property goes to you and you all can sell it. With that short certificate that you bring to my office, it's so easy. You don't have to get a lawyer or anything. You bring that piece of paper. People don't understand that, and they believe they own these houses.
Yep.
State Representative Joanne, you want to comment? I've seen you.
Absolutely. I just think Senator Hughes really identified it. It's emotional. It is not easy for us to talk about day to day. It's even harder to talk about the end of life, whether it's soon or whether it's later. We think we can do it later. We can handle the responsibility later. And it's something that we just have to, particularly in communities of color, get the stigma out of it. Just as sure as we're born, one of these days, whether it's today or whether it's 20 years from now or two, we don't know, but we know certainly that there will be a day that all of us expire and leave this planet. And a lot of times we, Tracey, don't agree that we have possessions. We think, I don't have anything. I'm paying a mortgage or whatever it is. We think I don't have anything. I got student loan debt. I have nothing else. But we all have something. We all have something. And those of us who work full time often have benefits attached to our job. And if we haven't made the decisions because we're not dealing with it, we're so focused on just getting through Thursday and moving on to next week or getting to the weekend. But what you're doing, educating communities and partnering with so many of our colleagues in the House and in the Senate across the region, not just in one area, not just in West and Southwest Philly, is helping us break down that barrier that's in our minds. This is, we don't have to deal with this today. We can deal with it later. We can deal with it next year in the new year. But it's like, we need to all get our house in order. Like, it's something that we have to do. And then when we get our house in order, as you said, the affordable housing is the house we own.
But the thing is to get the affordability. And when we thought, when we said, you fall under, a certain criteria to be able to be eligible for our probate deferment initiative, which, defers the fees. I looked at it and finally found out that you're talking about the minimum is going to cost $6,000 for the legal. That's where the money comes in. Not to mention the whole emotional part that, say, Senator said is who are they going to talk to? Because who are they going to trust? Who are they going to trust? The it's hard for them to say, well, I got a sister in jail, a brother over here, all this kind of stuff. You're telling them you got to get a renunciation from everybody. It's just too much. So I just wanted to know if, it needs to be placed on the floor. Like, we have a epidemic here, and we have, to me, I feel like, first of all, the state gonna get more money, because we're not asking them to waive the inheritance. They still have to pay the inheritance tax. It's going to be revenue coming into the state and revenue coming into the city. But the thing is, they'll be able to, operate and not just, it's a safety issue. When you can't get homeowners insurance and you're next to a row house, if the house catch on fire, at the minimum, you're going to get some smoke damage and water damage. Somebody slip and fall on your property. That's a lien. It's just tearing at your generational wealth. Within the next 25 years, there will be $68 trillion of generational wealth transferring from the baby boomers, to the millennials or generational X's. We're not prepared in Philly because, one, we're not making wills. When we make you don't make a will when you get old. You make it when you get an asset. And two, we're not even addressing the fact that we're literally as, squatters in the house. You don't have no legal rights to this shelter that may very well be. I just talked to the sheriff today. We have to get together to see what we can do about the ones that's going up for tax foreclosure. These is not 10,000 houses. This is 10,000 families that have a potential to be displaced because of a technicality that their family didn't understand. Vincent, I'm so glad you all, everybody is starting to listen to see this. I see a way out of this. I always look at the glass half full. I see a way out of it. Yeah. And all we're just asking is, can we have a smidget bit of that money?
Smidget. She want a smidget. Leader, she want a smidget. I ain't seen that. I haven't seen a smidget in the budget book.
Because within 6 months, my office assisted in untangling 11 tangled titles with no budget. Wow. No dedicated staff. Wow. We did that. And this is through my probate deferment initiative. And 11 is nothing compared to 10,000, but I don't care. That 11 families can have a Merry Christmas. And after that, they make in the program, you have to make a will if you come through the probate deferment initiative. We need money in these programs, and definitely we need accountability, because we can't just throw money just because you say throw it in the Tangled Title Fund. You want to get an audit of it and say, listen, what's right about this and what's wrong about this? It's going to have to probably be some legislation in there, because depending on how many layers, and I hope Frank will come on. Frank Capiz, my solicitor, will talk to you about his experience with the whole family dynamic of getting people to all agree to sign a renunciation to save a house. Mm-hmm. I've heard people say, I'd rather for us just to lose it. I've heard people say that. I've seen people, and say, Senator, you've seen this too. They didn't get along and just lost the property. The property. I've seen it on my block.
Yep. The most affordable house is the one that you own. And the one that you can transfer to your child, your family, or whoever you designate. But it's an education piece, Register. It's an education piece, and we need to be proactive about it. And you have my commitment to work with you and the leader to try to see if we can find some extra help to look at this in a comprehensive fashion. I'm sure your main man, Frank, and Karima are going to give us some ideas about what would be key ways to get this done. And so I'm interested in hearing what they have to say, but I view this as a partnership. City and state working together. And, we got our congressional folks, Dwight is on this housing piece. Mm-hmm. Congressman Evans, I got to be right.
Congressman, yes, Congressman
Evans. Can't be so friendly. He's on it on the housing piece. and want to get those dollars in here. And, you know, we got the HUD secretary, good sister, out of Missouri, I believe, you know, who understands these issues from when she used to be a congressperson. All right. Fudge. Okay. And just so that you know, Register.
Marcia Fudge. Okay.
Yeah, Marcia
I'll look
Fudge.
her up.
Tiffany,
Okay, a Delta.
Tiffany is reminding us that she is a Delta.
I know, I seen that.
Tiffany, we didn't need that. That's not necessary. All right, we already knew. Okay, all right, but they understand it. They understand it. We can get something done in this space. We can get something done in space. All right.
Good.
I'm interested to hear what Frank and Karima have.
Yeah,
to
that's
say.
what I'm trying to see. Is Frank on?
Everyone here.
There he is. Go, Frank. That's Special Solicitor Frank Capiz.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm Frank Campisi. I'm the solicitor, and I'm happy to work with Register Wills of Philadelphia County. These things that I've been hearing specifically, I love this plan, prepare and protect. But the easiest one to deal with, the easiest one of all of them is plan, right? It is so simple to do a will. It is not a complicated action. It is a very simple action. A person can do it on their own. A handwritten will in your own hand that is dated and signed, could be witnessed, could be notarized. That is called a holographic will. We accept them in the Register Wills office. You do that will, you write it out. Today is whatever date it is. My name is so-and-so. I want to give this to this one, this to this one, this to this one. I want this person to be the executor or the executrix. Sign my name, date it, done. We'll take it. We will take that will. That is good enough for us. Now, you want to go to another level. You want to have an attorney prepare it. You want to do something along those lines. I'm not crazy, and the Register, I think, will agree with me. These computer wills, these ones that people pull off the computer, they don't meet the criteria. They have fill in the blanks that we don't accept. So you either do it yourself or you go to an attorney. Legal services will do it. It's not an expensive thing to do. For a couple $100, you can get your life in order. And I have seen people leave my office after that will is done with a sigh of relief. Yeah. It's done. It's over. I don't have to think about this ever again. It's done. Now, the Register raised a very interesting point the other day about actually registering these wills at City Hall. And that's an issue we have to discuss because people don't know this. The Register of Wills doesn't get a will until you pass away. So we need to educate people. People don't know this. I've had families call me and tell me, I know my mom did a will. You have it at the Register's office. No, we do not have it at the Register's office. We don't have anything until you pass away. So really it's educating these people and the funding. Congress people, I have to tell you, $150 billion. We don't want it all. As the Register says, we just want a little smidgen of it. And that's going to be able to allow us, specifically the Register here to, I mean, she's doing this fantastic job of webinars and social media. And we put those billboards in these areas that she's tagged with these particular areas that have these tangled titles. I guarantee you, we'll bring the people in and she'll say to them, come on in. We will take care of you. We have a staff in our office that is second to none. I'll compare our staff to any staff in City Hall. We get it done. The Register of Wills of Philadelphia County has a motto, get it done. And we do, we get it done. So really the plan part is the easy part. What we get into with the tangled titles, and I think Karima will address this more, is we have a puzzle now. You have a puzzle that can go back 2 generations, 3 generations, 4 generations. And the title company who wants to sell the property too, they only get paid. The title companies get paid, the lawyers get paid. Everybody gets paid when the property is sold. So the title companies have their rules, and their rules are the previous owner of this property is now deceased. Did someone pay inheritance taxes on that? If that did not happen, you got to go back maybe a generation before that. How did that person get the title? So it is a puzzle, and the puzzle needs to be put in place, and attorneys do that. Attorneys do that, but attorneys don't work for free. Some do. Some attorneys work for free, and they're funded by the state and the federal government and the city, which is fantastic. We need more of that. We need more puzzle makers. people who can put puzzles together. We need more of that. That's the second part of what we're doing. Obviously more complicated, but the easiest part is the plan. Just get the wills out there. Just get people to know that that's what's the most important thing.
And Frank, somebody just wanted you to give those 3 tips on how to make your homemade
Oh,
will.
sure. Yeah. A holographic will, a homemade will, has to have a number of different things. Number one, it needs to be dated. Number two, all of it must be in the handwriting of the person. In other words, you can't have a pre-printed form and then they fill in the blanks. So it's dated, it's all handwritten, it is signed. You can have a witness and notary. It is not necessary, but I always suggest have it witnessed by a couple, have it witnessed by a neighbor, have it witnessed by someone. They witness it, they put their name, they date it, all done the same date. You can't date it. You know, I did it today and somebody dates it the next day. So that's not a very difficult thing to do. You can go to any bank, they'll notarize it, and there's 30 people in a bank who'll witness it. So it is very easy to do a holographic will. We will accept dated, handwritten, signed, witnessed, notarized, done. Cost you nothing. Doesn't cost you anything. So that's really the easiest way to do it. We prefer the more detailed wills that the attorneys do because they're self-proving, meaning that the witnesses have already put their names on it. We know who they are. So the document itself can be accepted. Some of the handwritten wills, if the person is gone, obviously, something that's going to be presented by the executor, let's say. And the question that we're going to ask is, hey, okay, who are these witnesses? Let's get them to sign affidavits confirming everything was done accordingly. So it's a little bit more detailed. Obviously, the attorney wills are much easier for us to probate, but you can do one on your own.
And Karima, welcome to your first Plan, Prepare, Protect. Thank you, Frank. Tell them a little bit about our Probate Deferment Initiative program. And I already told y'all, we already untangled 11 titles, yay. But we look to do more.
Thank you for having me, Madam Register. So about Probate Deferment Initiative, the reason why this arises is because we lack wills. Generally, the types of properties that have a tangled title are those that were owned by someone's grandmom, and people have just continued to live in the same home over the years after grandmom has passed away, and no one has attempted to see about the title or the deed to the house. So we have a situation where grandma passes away and she has children, and one of the children passed away, and then we're down to the grandchildren living in the house. And when someone passes in the chain of title, that's where a tangled title arises. And then the Register has created the Probate Deferment Initiative to try to assist people who are low income with fixing these title defects that we're experiencing that create the tangled titles. And it's a deferred fee, meaning it still has to be paid. It shows up as a lien against the property, but that lien can be satisfied in advance if the person so chooses. They can pay it off in advance and have the lien lifted, or the lien can be satisfied once the property is sold. The Probate Deferment Initiative seeks to assist people who can't afford to pay the cost of opening an estate, which include things like the actual fee to probate the estate, the inheritance tax fee, fees to create short certificates that show evidence of who is in charge of the estate, the administrator or the executor, and other fees that are included in that amount that comes up to a total, and that amount will be deferred. Then a new deed would be created with the proper owner's name, and the commissioner of the recorder of deeds has agreed with Madam Register to waive the fee for recording the new deed that is in the proper name of the new owner. So with those two things combined, we are able to correct the defect that has went on for so many years, and the person has the opportunity to access the capital in the property that they're living in. So just to understand what we're trying to do here. We're trying to clear this mess up. And I'm all about community education. So yes, we're trying to take it to the people so they understand. Because half the people that, like most of the people we're talking about may not understand that they have this problem with their title, with their deed to their home. They're just living there and paying the bills. So that's why the Register has done this. And we hope that we can get more people to understand that they have this issue and to come to us.
And then the final step that we do is we, in between this, we refer them to a legal organization, and they're assigned an attorney, and they get free legal assistance through the entire process, including after the title is transferred. They will help them prepare a will so they won't have that problem in the future. So this is what my probate deferment initiative was intended to do. And it was a pilot, it is a pilot program that right now needs funding. So we're requesting funding from the city of Philadelphia. We have proposals, and I wanted to ask senators and state representative, we would like to send proposals over to you all so we can get more funding, so we can help more people plan, prepare, and protect, and possibly save their family home and generational wealth.
Leader, what you think? Of course, the Register can send us that stuff. I'd love to see it. I'm serious.
I know.
Look, we're a team. Teamwork makes the dream work. All of us working together, we represent the same constituents and the same issues. Leader McClinton's on the south side. I'm pretty much on the north side over in West Philadelphia. But the truth of the matter is, whether you're in 3-1, 3-9, 4-3, whatever, 3-2, it's the same issue. It's the same issue. Maybe the particulars are a little bit different, all right, but it's the same issue. So I'm glad to work with you. Leader McClinton will appreciate this. I just got the sign off from my senior team in Harrisburg to say that let's go get it done. She knows that's inside conversation. The leader knows what I'm talking about, all right? That we go get something done positive to try to get some help on the way. So I'll hand it over to the leader now. Leader?
Yes, Tracy, you know that we are not just here because we wanted to be with you on Thursday night and inform our constituents, but we're here because this is a priority. In your introduction, you talked about the blight, you talked about the gun violence, you talked about the poverty. And as a block captain, you talked about, the one abandoned house makes it bad for the whole block, which makes it bad for the whole neighborhood, which makes it bad for the whole community. So you haven't said anything but a word. I'm off 60th Street, and whether we're talking about my neighbors right where we live in Cobbs Creek, or we're talking about folks in Winfield, it doesn't matter where they live, but if they have this issue and the Pew has done the research to show that thousands of families have this issue, we have to make it a priority, and the time is right. We are right now, Senator Hughes and I are getting ready for the next budget. How's that possible? Because this is the time we're in, December before the June budget, the governor will give his address in February. So we have our list. We have long lists, we have short lists, they move around because we have so much need, but this is going to be on the list of how we can even get what you give, as you mentioned and started. You're sending this money to the state. How can we reinvest? How can we create a fund? And if this is not an issue that other counties are facing, then we need to make sure that folks in our communities, our constituents, do not end up with a pile of paperwork and unopened mail and not able to deal with this, because it makes the despair from the death, from the loss, or whatever may have occurred, it makes it even worse. It's even more trauma when you're trying to figure out where you're going to sleep at night in January. And that is not what we want any of the families in our neighborhood to face.
And we'll close with this. John, put up the map so our state representatives can see where the Tangled Titles lie in their particular district. So State Representative Joanne, you see where the red is?
I see it. I'm like, where am I? I looked first. I just saw Northeast.
Man, look down at the bottom.
Yes, I see us. I see our area.
So that's it. You got that area right there on the edge. That's Cobbs Creek right there.
Yes,
right there on that edge right there. That's all And that's a lot of houses. And by the way, in the Pew, when you read the study, they put an asterisk. Because I had asked them when we reviewed this, because they were saying these are where low income, house. And I'm like, maybe low income, but the housing stock, is really, really worth a lot of money.
And selling
that's
for
Cobb's
a
Creek.
lot of money.
Yes, don't go by the BRT. And then let's State Senator Vincent Hughes see his map.
Yep. There it is. There it is. Look at
North
that north.
Philly, all the way. Oh,
Look at that.
you
Look
see
at
that?
The only part in West where there is no color, that's gray. That's Fairmount Park. That's why
Right.
there's no issue over there.
Exactly. There's no houses there. Yep.
Ain't no houses. And just to be clear, if you look in West, underneath that light gray area, and you see the lighter blue tending to the darker blue, tending to the really darker blue, and you see that yellow down there, that's where a lot of the gentrification is moving east to west.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, it's important that we resolve these issues so these families that are there can, be free and clear and take advantage of the potential opportunities that may be coming their way. All right. Generation to generation to generation.
And guess what? The historic sadness about this. Philadelphia has the largest home ownership amongst Black and brown families in the country.
Wow. And
we, with these Tangled titles, are in jeopardy of that all going away. It's really at the worst. And when people are talking about affordable housing, how many more tracks do we have to build a house? To fix one of these houses, it'll take $30,000.
Yep.
To build the new house is $300,000. Come on, guys. We got it. And where are they going to go? The homeless shelters is out of the, this is not 10,000 houses. This is 10,000 families. Right, jeopardy. And time is not on their side. I like to thank you all. I won't keep you all late. I appreciate it. I know you had a busy day. I am very enthusiastic about this partnership. My staff will send you all the information you need to know. We are coming up for budget. We do have a budget. We do have some ideas, and I feel free. I wanted to see billboards everywhere in Philadelphia, especially in those areas. Being able to tell people, that at least talk about it.
Register. I ran into Mark Arell about a month ago, and it was good to see him. I hadn't seen him for a long time, and I was. Come on,
Mark. Yes.
I was kind of where I said, I ain't seen my brother in a long time. I need to know what's going on with him. And I ran into him on the Lita, some rally somewhere on the apron of City Hall, talking all kinds of, what we do. And there was Mark, and he said, "Yo, you got to get down on this." And I was glad to see Mark and glad to work with you all. And I really appreciate this effort. We're gonna move the needle on this. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And Mark has been with us. From him, John Zimmerman. We just put another guy on, Sadiq, and these guys have been really innovative with just, like you could say Tangled Title, and people pretty much have heard that word. You know what I mean? And they're calling us more and more. So we want to, I know, like you said, this is a very long-term issue that we're dealing with, but at least we're dealing with it.
Yep.
I like to thank everybody. We actually did we break a record? How many people viewed? Because I know this is one of the top highest attending webinars. And of course, once John puts his magic on it and re-edit everything, we'll make sure you send it, and hopefully you can put it on your website. Thank you.
It's high attended because you had Leader McClinton on. That's why it's high attended. Okay?
Yes.
You got more.
I want y'all to know.
I
want y'all to know she's in Harrisburg right now. You see that, all that beautiful mahogany behind her?
I see. I was like,
She
I
up
was
there
like, where's
grinding
she
it up in
at?
Harrisburg.
Not
all
on
right?
60th Street tonight, working late. We burning the midnight oil up here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you at 60th Street?
I said, not tonight.
Oh, not tonight. Okay, yeah. I like to
All
thank
right,
you,
family.
Joanne. Your hair looks so pretty, Joanne, too. I
Oh,
love
thank you,
it.
Madam Rowe.
All
Thank
right.
you. Yeah, it is
you.
pretty. How's mine?
Remember, John,
Mine's
say hi
okay?
to John, guys. That's
John.
John Zimmerman. He's another
What's up,
producer.
John?
How you
Yes.
doing, sir?
See y'all. Take care now. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Good night, everybody. Good job.
Good night, everyone.